Hi guys, it's Allie. I'm sorry it's taken so long for me to finish this series. It's something that I knew I was going to have to really dig deep down emotionally and to be able to tell you the rest of the story. But the bottom line is I can't do this anymore, guys. Not I can't do this anymore and I'm giving up. But I can't do this anymore. I can't be in bed anymore. I have to figure out what's the solution to this. I can't do it like in here. I'm just so heartbroken. Being in bed. It's just not me. I was able to go out on the boat yesterday with my family and I had a blast. And I had to take some medicine, so I was able to do it. But it's not sustainable long term. The medicine helped me, control my heart rate just long enough so I could go and enjoy, time with my family. But I can't take it every day, so it's not sustainable. And I was out yesterday and I had such a great day, but now I'm just stuck back in bed. And this is what happens every single time. I have a good moment, or I have a good hour, or I have a good minute. And then, no matter how long that moment lasts, or minute, or hour, or day, I have to pay, 10 times fold. And I just have to figure out some way to get out of this. I just don't know how I ended up here where I'm in bed every day. I was, an athlete. And you couldn't stop me. And then all of a sudden I had this thing come on where I just couldn't control it. I couldn't push through. But I'm gonna push through. I'm gonna figure out a way by reaching out to you guys. I've got to. Because no one can live life this way. No one can be a mom, in bed while their children are, out off of the park right now with their dad, which I'm so lucky that I have such a wonderful husband, but this is no life being in bed. So I know I owe, the rest of my story to you. And I know you guys have been waiting patiently. And maybe by telling you, and maybe somebody will know something or know somebody that'll be able to put the dots together so I can reverse this thing. So I guess to start off by telling my story, what's happened over the last, I guess almost 4 years. So I had so many blessings. This really is amazing, the amount of blessings I do have. I guess to start this story off, I need to think of those because it really is amazing. Like, how many things you can have that are going wrong, but then how many blessings you can have at the same time. Somebody had recommended this trainer to me, and that worked with, people that had, musculoskeletal problems and other issues. And she helped me start getting stronger. So I started getting, stronger. And what she did differently, that the physical therapists were focusing on just my shoulder only. And she built up all the rest of my large muscles and my core muscles and helped me build everything else first, and then worked her way to my shoulder. And it was genius. And so I started getting stronger and stronger. And I found a new passion, something that made me feel as good as tennis did. And I found this, creative side in me that I didn't know I had. It just teaches you how much we have, inside ourselves that we may not even know. And there's a saying that, all these cliche sayings, when one door closes, another one opens. And, I always hated all those sayings because I felt like they weren't, very genuine. There's a reason why people started saying those things. It's because they're true. I never would have known that I had this creative side to me if my athletic side, hadn't been shut down. And the doctors hadn't told me, you can't play tennis anymore physically because, you have this total shoulder replacement you have to take care of. So, I really did. Another door opened for me, and I found this creative side. Out of this terrible time in my life, which, I thought was a terrible time, grew this beauty. We had this beautiful daughter that I was so in love with, and I had this new passion for this, new creative side that I was doing. And for whatever reason, everybody loved my designs, and they just kept selling. And before I knew it, our nanny, my mom quit her job at the furniture store and started working with me, and which is a big role reversal because I used to work for my parents at their furniture store. So it's really neat having a family business. And then our nanny, once our daughter got a little older, our nanny started helping, first when our daughter was napping, she would help us with the business. And then it got to the point where, it was like, okay, I can actually offer you, a full-time job. The company was called Gummies, Gumeez. And it just kept growing. And I got a phone call one day. I started getting phone calls from, these mom and pop shops that wanted to, buy wholesale from us, wanted to sell my stuff in their stores. I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. And then Zulily called, and they were like, what are you capable of? What can you guys produce? And then that's when I really got into the wholesale side of the business. And we ended up opening up an office and design center and shipping center. And the business just, grew more and more and more. And as the business grew, I became stronger and stronger. And was doing better and better. It was almost like, this business was healing me physically. It was amazing. And everything was going wonderfully. And my husband and I decided that we wanted to have another child. And I, of course, was not able to carry another child. With Ehlers Danlos, sometimes having a child, some people can and do wonderfully, and then a lot of other people will have struggles and won't be able to carry children. And so, unfortunately, I'm one of the ones that couldn't move forward with having another child, and it was just too dangerous for me and for the baby, making it to full term. So at the time, I didn't know I had Ehlers Danlos. I just knew that that my OB, said that just wouldn't recommend that I carry another child through all the complications I had with the first one. I was on bed rest for 8.5 months, and I was on an IV for 8.5 months. I was very, very sick. And so we found a surrogate, and we had a surrogate baby. And the baby was my husband's and my embryo, so it was our child. And like we explained to our daughter, our surrogate was basically the kangaroo carrying our baby for us in her pouch. And so we called her Kanga. And we had this beautiful blessing in our lives of this family, this woman that was carrying our child and having our child for us. So there's just some amazing, wonderful things, that have come out of all of this. Who would think that something like that could even happen? I never thought in a million years that I would have a child through surrogacy. Never in a million years. And, we have this beautiful baby girl that we had through the miracle of surrogacy. And we met this beautiful family, and I connected with another, human being on this earth differently in ways that I have ever been so close to somebody. And this precious woman carried our baby for us. And it's something I'll be grateful for forever. And it's just an amazing blessing. So after our surrogate had her baby, we were blessed we had two beautiful daughters, healthy, more importantly. But when I mean beautiful, is in the heart. I've never thought of beautiful as just this. I just don't see people that way. I see people more in their souls. I don't know how to describe it, but that's what I mean when I say someone's beautiful. And our daughters are glowing. They're both so beautiful, such beautiful souls. And the family and the woman that had our daughter for us are beautiful souls. And it's amazing what happens when you start being grateful and you think of the blessings, no matter how, just how bad you're feeling. It seems like if you can change your mindset to gratitude, just put so much love in your heart. So that's how I'd like to start my story. Is I was going a mile a minute. I had a successful business, teething product line. I had a beautiful baby girl through surrogacy. I had a wonderful husband, and we had a wonderful home, and everything was going perfectly. I couldn't have pictured my life more perfect. And I was recovering physically. My musculoskeletal problems were getting better and better. And the business was becoming more and more successful. And my best friends in the world were working with me, and I was working out at the gym with my trainer, which became one of my best friends, and life was just good. It was really good. I was passionate about my job, and I loved every minute of it. And I'd come in, and we'd have, cheerful music playing throughout, and we painted the office really bright, cheerful colors, and it was basically like a creative girl's dream. There was a big design center, really cool, where I could just sit there and create and create and create. And we were all having a blast. And then I started having episodes where I was throwing up. But it still didn't stop me. I still kept going. And I seemed to start having more and more health problems, random things. I got a cyst, a softball-sized cyst on my ovary, and had ovarian torsion, and ended up, I just had a random pain in my stomach one day. I just doubled over in pain, and I had to go to the hospital and get emergency surgery to remove not just the softball-sized cyst, but my ovary as well, because I had ovarian torsion, and just random stuff. And I started having cysts on the other ovary, and so then they started putting me on medication for that. They couldn't take out my other one, or I'd be having more hormonal issues. So that happened, and then it was just random stuff. Like every single procedure that I had, it seemed like it was that much harder for me than it would have been as someone else that had the exact same procedure. I had a Mirena IUD, which is a birth control, and it's intrauterine device birth control. And, majority of people don't have any problems with those, and they're great. They don't have to take oral birth control, and they work great. And I had, an issue where I was at, the Las Vegas Baby Expo for our company with, a lot of my coworkers, and I had to leave a day early because I was in stabbing pain, bent over stabbing pain, and throwing up again. And the hospital there advised me to, go home to my home hospital. So that's what we did. I flew home, and I had to leave the expo a day early. And I get home, and the IUD, the intrauterine device, had impaled itself. So it was like stabbing me up in my uterus. So I had to go emergency surgery and get that taken out. And that wasn't fun. Glad they found it. It's very painful. And so just these random things started happening. And in addition, I was throwing up this whole time. I started throwing up, just sporadically, and then it became more often. And then it became, I started feeling sick when I was exercising. And, I had backed off I was doing the trainer an hour, and I had gotten to where I was doing it just a half hour because I wasn't feeling well. And, I thought maybe I would do better, less with less time. So, I tried that, and I tried slowing things down, thinking maybe I was just putting too much on my plate. And it's like dominoes. When one falls, and it just like they just kept falling, and I couldn't stop it. And I started dropping balls, and my everyday life, I was like a juggler, and I started dropping one ball and another ball and another ball. And everybody that at work, it's like they kept having to pick up my slack. And I just didn't understand why I was running into this like a wall. It was like I couldn't push through it. And I was just sick. Let me back up. Right before I got sick, I had just gotten this huge investment opportunity, and an investor came on board with the company. And like I said, it was doing really, really well. And so I had all this forward momentum. I had more help than I ever had, and I had more motivation we were getting big accounts, and my health just started failing. I just started sick, terrible headaches, terrible nausea, dizziness. I didn't know it at the time, but my right eye, my vision, I was starting to lose vision in my right eye. But when that happens, sometimes your left eye, your other eye has 20/20 vision, can start taking over, so that you don't notice it unless you close, that eye, and then you're like, oh wow, everything's blurry. But to me, I didn't notice the vision loss, and I was just having all these, stomach issues and just random problems, and just not feeling well. And I just couldn't put my finger on it. And, and I don't mean just a little bit not feeling well. I mean like going to the emergency room, like sick as a dog, like somebody help me. Why am I feeling so sick? And there was no definitive answers. And, I could go to the emergency room just so sick. And then finally, I started passing out. And that's when we started being able to put some dots together. And this internal medicine doctor I was seeing, said, have you ever been diagnosed with any hypermobility issues as a kid? Because he's like, all this stuff, other stuff I'm seeing, these health issues, would make a lot more sense if this, so I said, yeah, as a matter of fact, I was diagnosed with hypermobility in all my joints as a child. And it's called like I don't know what the exact name of it back then was, but it's hypermobility syndrome or something. And so this internist and I had at this point I had been everywhere trying to figure out what was wrong. And he starts asking me, different questions. And then all while this is going on, I'm experiencing all this nausea. And the nausea just seemed to plague me. Every day it seemed like it was getting worse and worse and worse. And I was getting sicker and sicker. And it was getting harder and harder for me to go into the office. And literally the more I did, the sicker I was. So, full-time working mom with medical, already having musculoskeletal issues, but now I've had these, issues with the rest of my body, not just the musculoskeletal stuff. I'm having, major problems. Staying conscious, passing out. And so, I had multiple specialists working on, doing different tests on me for different systems of my body. And meanwhile, the internal medicine doctor said, this really looks like a condition called Ehlers Danlos, but you need to go and, have special testing for that. And I was like, okay, where do I do that? So we got that ball rolling. And while that ball was starting to roll, I was at the office, and I, it didn't matter that I was sick. There were just some days I had to be there. And again, I was missing, most days now. I wasn't able to come in the office hardly at all. And this last time I came in, I passed out off of a stool I was sitting on, a rolling stool, onto concrete flooring. And I was just out. I remember just being really out of it, and I don't know what was going on. And so they called the ambulance, and they got me to the hospital. And my pulse, I guess my body had just gotten to the point where I just couldn't do it anymore, and it just stopped working. And so my pulse was 120 lying down, and sitting up was 150, and then 180 to stand. And I'm talking about lying down, doing nothing, like 120. Sitting up in a hospital bed, doing nothing, moving my arms, 150, and then standing right next to the hospital bed with help. I was having to have help stand up at this point, 180. So I found out for sure that I had something called autonomic dysfunction. And at the time, I was diagnosed with a form of autonomic dysfunction called POTS. It's postural orthostatic tachycardia, which basically means standing up, all your automatic processes aren't functioning correctly. So my heart rate would ludicrously go up just from standing, and to the point where it would make me pass out. My blood pressure was dropping really, really low. And I was in the hospital for 10 days. I was very, very sick. And they gave me all the meds they could to stabilize me. And they finally got me to where, semi-stable, where they could send me home. And, I was on all these meds. And I still couldn't even sit up in bed. Like, I was so sick. So I was completely bedridden on my back for a long time. And I was lucky enough to get one of those hospital type beds where you can prop yourself up electrically. And so, the doctors, the testing that I went through for the autonomic dysfunction, they were able to kind of give me a guide as to how to start, just by little increments, just a degree here, degree here, degree here. And so that's what I did until my body could tolerate sitting up in a reclining position. And I'm not talking about like sitting up in a straight back chair. I still can't do that. But I was able to sit up in bed in a reclining position with my legs straight out. And so any improvement at this point was huge. So I was really happy to have hope. I think hope is the most powerful weapon you can have against chronic illness or any kind of sickness or, anything you're fighting in life. I mean, hope is just everything. You have to have hope to want to go on, to want to continue to fight. And I definitely, want to continue to fight, and I wanted to continue to fight then, and I still have that fight in me. As you can probably tell in my voice, I'm tired. It's tiring having to fight every day. But I have a husband that doesn't give up on me, and a mom that's not giving up on me, and kids that aren't giving up on me, and an au pair that isn't giving up on me. And I just have an amazing support system, and I just literally, I owe everything to them, because I wouldn't be here without them. And my husband's taken me to all the specialists, and they finally were able to put all the pieces together. And I think the hardest part of the whole diagnosis process is not knowing what was wrong for so long, and almost feeling like when you don't have an official diagnosis of something, but you're not able to do things, people start, questioning you, like, wondering why you're not able to. You look perfectly healthy from the outside, and I don't look as healthy now. When I compare myself to right before I got sick, it's like a night and day. I'm a completely different person. But I'm also a completely different person where I really know what's important in life. And you know how this quarantine has kind of gotten everybody to put perspective and things, put what's really important in front of them, and focus on what's important. And that's kind of what this disease and this chronic illness has done for me. And for that, I am forever grateful of the gifts that it's brought me. And but I just want to be able to get out of bed and stay out of bed. And I'm open to trying anything. Right now I'm doing a vegan diet. See if that helps. Literally when I say anything and everything, I've done everything. I'm going to do another episode where I just tell you about all the treatments I've tried. Because there's maybe treatments that might work for you that didn't work for me. And because, we were able to go everywhere and go to all the best doctors in the nation and go, to get the best advice and get all these tests. And we're fortunate enough to have good insurance. I can tell you guys, what tests they do, and answer questions about what it feels like if you're scared and you're nervous, or but first I wanted to kind of tell my story to catch you up to present day. And before I end this series, I'd like to I'd like to focus, in it with something positive, something I'm grateful for. And today, I had my new medical aid start, my new caregiver, and with the coronavirus, it's dangerous to have anybody, to help me. So now I have a caregiver back again, and they can help me full time and help me, do the normal mundane stuff of everyday living, like, grooming, and, just help me in meal preparation and things like that I can't do for myself. And so that I can hopefully save my energy, so that I can spend more time, doing the things that are important. And I'll delve into different subjects here now that I'm finished kind of catching you up to where I am in my current life. I no longer have gummies. I'm no longer running gummies, I should say. I had to step down completely, and we had to close our fulfillment center here and design center. And it was very sad to see it go, but I was so sick, and I am so sick, that I realized it's not something that I could do anymore. And so I was so blessed to have somebody that wanted to take it over and see if they could give it a shot. So, the business for as of right now is still in business. And my hope, that big word hope, is that one day I can, go back to doing something that I'm passionate about, like that. And just focus on my quality of life, which, I was so busy running 1,000 miles a minute. I never put me first. And I think a lot of women have that problem, and a lot of men probably have that problem too. But a lot of moms especially have that problem with, not putting themselves first, because it's just in our innate nurturing nature to put, our kids first. And this has allowed me to take a step back and realize that I have to put myself first. I couldn't even sit up. Now I can. But I couldn't sit up before. I couldn't, now my problem is is standing. Gravity's not my friend. But, I think if you can find humor in some of the small things, and a quick antidote. One time when I was in the hospital, I had a case of hospital hair, is what my husband called it. And he said, oh my goodness. He just started laughing. We were in the hospital, and I was as sick as it gets. As sick as it gets. I mean, my blood pressure was 220/180. When my blood pressure normally runs lower, blows below 100. For me, that was just very, very, very bad. And, in here I have this wonderful husband that is, looks over at me, and he just starts laughing. And I'm like, what? And he goes, that is the most impressive case of hospital hair I have ever seen in my entire life. And I tell you what, I'll have to have a thing where I'm showing you pictures of everything. My hair was not in a scrunchie, not in a hair tie. I'd had it up in a hair tie for so long, and I was so sick because I couldn't even sit up. So I couldn't wash my hair, and I couldn't brush my hair because my heart rate, I was just so sick. And it had dreadlocked up into a bun and it stayed in the bun, regardless of the fact that I did not have any hair ties in it. So it swooped back. And he said, I look like I was, in a car with the windows down, running at an incredible rate, Harry. Dum dum number. So, as bad as your days are, and as bad as, there's a lot of bad things going on right now, try to find the good, try to find the happy, try to find the things, small things you can laugh about. And most importantly, don't give up hope. That's what I'm doing, reaching out to you guys, is I'm not giving up hope that I can find somebody that can help me. I'm doing everything I can. Doing everything. So, my next post, I'll go over what treatments I'm on, so that if you guys have any other suggestions, or if somebody that's going through the same thing would like to know different treatments, options that are out there, I'll be recommending or not recommending. I'll just tell you to ask your doctors about it. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to me. You guys are the best. I love all your comments. I love all the positive feedback, and you bring me hope every day. And by golly, when I get better, because I am going to get better, I hope to be able to hang out with every single one of you one day. We'll have a huge party. So, love and hugs coming at you. Like this video if you'd like me to keep posting videos, or subscribe to my channel. And don't forget to love, be kind, and have hope.